Human consciousness does not operate in a single mode. It fluctuates continuously across states that differ in attention, perception, emotional tone, and self-referential processing. Among these states, one of the most intriguing and most frequently misunderstood is the theta state, typically associated with brain activity in the 4 to 7 Hz range. Today, I would like to explore the theta state not as a mystical shortcut or a neurological miracle, but as a boundary condition of consciousness, a transitional regime where established cognitive control weakens and alternative forms of awareness become accessible. From a neurophysiological perspective, theta activity is most reliably observed during early stages of sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, deep meditative absorption, hypnosis, and transitional states such as hypnagogia, the descent into sleep, and hypnopompia, the return to wakefulness. These are moments when the brain is neither fully awake nor fully asleep. Importantly, they are not states of unconsciousness. On the contrary, subjective reports consistently describe them as highly vivid, emotionally rich, and internally coherent. What changes is not awareness itself, but the mode of regulation. In ordinary waking consciousness, especially in task-oriented environments, cognition is dominated by what psychologists call executive control, goal maintenance, error monitoring, self-evaluation, and narrative identity. In theta-dominant states, this regulatory system becomes less rigid. Neuroimaging and EEG studies suggest reduced activity in regions associated with sustained analytical reasoning, self-referential rumination, and top-down cognitive filtering. This reduction does not imply dysfunction. Rather, it reflects a temporary suspension of control, similar to what occurs during dreaming or deep absorption in art or prayer. As rational oversight loosens, associative processing becomes more prominent. Ideas connect laterally rather than hierarchically. Images, memories, and emotions emerge without being immediately judged or suppressed. The threshold states surrounding sleep have fascinated thinkers for centuries. Many creative insights, from mathematical proofs to musical compositions, have been reported to arise in hypnagogic theta-rich moments. These accounts are anecdotal, but their consistency across cultures and historical periods is notable. What makes these states special is not heightened intelligence, but reduced censorship. When the rational mind temporarily relinquishes control, material that is normally inaccessible or actively inhibited can surface into awareness. This includes emotionally salient memories, symbolic imagery, intuitive pattern recognition, and nonverbal forms of understanding. In this sense, theta states can be understood as a meeting point between conscious awareness and processes that usually remain implicit. The term subconscious is often used loosely. In scientific contexts, it is more accurate to speak of non-conscious or preconscious processes. These processes are not mystical entities. They include memory consolidation, emotional appraisal, predictive modeling, and associative networks shaped by experience. Theta states do not grant magical access to hidden knowledge. What they appear to offer is direct experiential contact with cognitive material that is ordinarily filtered out by waking control mechanisms. This distinction matters. It protects us from overstating claims while preserving what is genuinely interesting. Across cultures, states resembling theta dominance have been deliberately cultivated. Through prayer, chanting, breath regulation, rhythmic sound, prolonged silence. Religious and contemplative traditions often describe these states using metaphors such as union, emptiness, or divine presence. From a scientific standpoint, these descriptions are phenomenological, not empirical claims. However, dismissing them outright would be a mistake. What they reliably describe is a subjective dissolution of ego boundaries, a reduction in the sense of being a separate narrating self. When internal verbal noise subsides, experience can feel expansive, coherent, and meaningful. Calling this a God mode is metaphorical, not literal, but metaphors often emerge where language struggles to describe altered modes of being. One of the most consistent reports associated with theta-dominant states is a sense of deep calm combined with heightened insight. This is not excitement or stimulation. It is quiet clarity. From a cognitive perspective, this may reflect reduced competition between mental representations, increased tolerance for ambiguity, and enhanced integration across memory systems. Creativity, in this context, is not invention from nothing, but recombination without interference. Intuition is not irrationality, but rapid pattern recognition operating without conscious deliberation. What theta is not. It is important to state clearly what theta states do not guarantee. They do not bypass learning. They do not override psychological trauma. They do not ensure truth, wisdom, or moral clarity. They do not replace critical thinking. Experiences arising in theta states require interpretation, and interpretation reintroduces the rational mind. Without this step, insight risks becoming illusion. Why this state matters? In a world increasingly dominated by continuous stimulation, performance metrics, and self-monitoring, theta-like states represent something rare: permission to not control. They remind us that consciousness is not only a tool for optimization, but also a space for integration. Understanding the theta state helps us appreciate the diversity of conscious experience, respect subjective reports without abandoning rigor, and explore inner life without mystification. The theta state is not an endpoint. It is a threshold, a space where waking thought loosens its grip, where silence becomes informative, where the mind listens instead of commands. Whether one approaches it through neuroscience, meditation, prayer, or creativity, the value of the theta state lies not in what it promises, but in what it reveals about the flexibility of human consciousness. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that not all forms of knowing speak in words.